This week on SV Lynx. Welcome to this week's SV Lynx video. Well, as you can see, we've been doing an endless amount of sanding, and we have more to come this week, but that's not all that we're going to show you. We're going to start building some very interesting things.
Right. If you remember last week, we got the carbon fiber done up on the forestay on the forebeam. And this week, we're going to start working towards getting the chain plates, which are also carbon fiber. And there's 4 of them. So we're starting working on those. So we're going to show you all that, and let's get right to it right now.
Good morning, it's a new week. It's Monday, and Brian and I are back at it again. So we started this morning doing some planning and measuring and such on the supports for the anchor that go up into the catwalk, because now that we've got our supports in there for the forestay, we can start working on the catwalk. But there are some things missing in the plans, so I have a meeting scheduled with Robert Quinn to go over those things a little bit later this week. And also, we really need our anchor, because the wheels, there's 3 different wheels inside of that support for the anchor goes up, and their placement of those wheels, the precise placement, has to do with exactly which anchor that you got. And so we've already purchased our anchor from a company in Canada. It comes from New Zealand, and there's no dealers in the United States. The closest dealer is in Canada. So we're ordering it from there. Unfortunately, that means we have to pay the current tariffs on metal coming from Canada. So that anchor went up from $2,000 to $3,000 with that, but it is what it is. So we ordered it, and it should be on its way here soon. So once we have the anchor, we'll be able to get some of those measurements better. So we put that aside, and also I'm going to have that meeting with Robert this week. So we decided not to work on that in the end, and we'll get back to it. The other thing is that Schoening forgot to send those pieces in the kit. They don't exist. So we're going to have to make those either out of marine plywood or out of offcuts, and we're not running low on offcuts, so I have to decide how I'm going to do that yet. So a lot of planning still to go to get that anchor system right. Well, that means we're going to move on to other things, and it's a nice day today, and it's going to be a cooling trend this week. So we are going to have a full week of great weather for working on sanding and epoxy and that kind of stuff. So we want to get back to our fairing. Now, I've already sanded all of this, so I'm not falling over there, and that first one over there, you probably can't see, is done. Second coat sanded. But this one is first coat, and this one is first coat, and so is the one under the mainsail track. And so we're going to go ahead and put on the second layer of fairing compound. In general, this is the final layer. It is the final complete layer. There may be a couple tiny spots we fix after that, but so we'll put this final layer on, and then we'll sand it, and if there are any little tiny spots, we'll do a tiny little repairs in those spots. So, but in general, this is the last big job up here. That's good, because I hate working on these ceilings. It's just difficult. I gotta get to cleaning this because Brian's mixing right now, and I gotta be ready. One of our commenters this week, well, last week's video, commented that Life on the Hulls used a spray-on textured surface to do their ceilings, and that cut down on the amount of fairing they had to do to get it to look really nice, and that's great. I didn't really look at the product they have, but the fact is that anything at all that we put on here adds weight. And we have to buy it, and we have to spray it, and all that good stuff. So from the standpoint of inexpensive, which we need, and lightweight, which we need, the best method of doing this for us is to put the least amount of fairing compound we can, and smooth it as best we can on that, and get it painted. So our Alexial paint the Super Build primer will help fair this as well. So that's what we're sticking with. And that's why we're doing it, because of cost and weight reasons. Okay, that's all I got in me today. I don't want to raise this above here anymore. But we did well. Got the center seam, both sides of this beam, and the beam itself, and the far end down there. I still got a little bit to go down there, but I'll do that another one. Now that we're done fairing the ceiling for today, I got to work on stuff that's lower down. So these are the little pieces that land on the helm column for the seats that allow this to flip down and give us a footrest. So we've got the two end ones already glued on, and they match up perfectly up there. So on this one, we now double checked it, and we're making sure that it's going to sit flat against here when we glue it on, so that these are all perfect. And we've got lines for as far as this direction. All done with our level here, so we're good. And we're going to get that glued on right now. I decided how we're going to deal with the hinges, because this is pretty narrow to attach a hinge to. So those are too narrow. So what I'm thinking about possibly doing is putting a bar permanently attached to the seat column up there. And that way I could put the hinges for this whole thing in a completely different place. And that would allow it to have a much bigger bite to both the step itself and onto where the mounts are up there. So that's probably what we'll do. All right, I say we run away. Well, I've been up sanding the cockpit for the last couple hours, working on the forward table. While I did that, Brian's been in here and he tabbed these little supports on the step. At the same time, he also tabbed the insides of these, which are the toe kicks for the covers in the bathroom. It was just a lot easier to do it ahead of time. So he's got this all set up and finished. And so he's spelling me. That's what you hear in the background there, is he's up continuing the sanding I was doing. So let's go take a look. So I've already got this nice around here and all down in there, and worked on that up as well. But he'll do this and then move over here and do this one. Well, it only takes an hour or so to put a layer of the fairing compound down on one of those areas, like the table in the nav station or whatever. But the sanding, well, that takes a lot longer. That was just that little 4-person table area was about 2 hours of sanding. So he'll spend an hour on that, just the curves of the nav station there. So it's a lot longer. And then we'll have to fair it all again and sand it all again. But certainly coming along up there. And I see no danger of us not having it completely faired and sanded and painted by the time we get to the 200th episode, which is going to be July 25th. And for those who can make it to the party here at the lot, you'll have to contact me if you don't already know where it is. But those who want to make it to the lot for the party, we'll be giving tours of everything, and we'll have food and all that good stuff. And it'll probably be at about 5 p.m. that we'll start, something like that, and go till whatever. Certainly into the dark, but we'll have lights up and everything, so it's all good. Anyhow, so all of my patron crew, all of our friends and family, so anybody who has worked on this boat ever for any part of it, whether you were here just on the first day unpacking the truck with all the 900 pieces of boat. Anyway, no matter when you worked on the boat or something, come on home. We want to see you. Come to the party. This Tuesday, and my friends, the DeRooters, came by, and they have cut our mount for our Combi system in here so that it's ready to be remeasured. So we're going to be mounting this into the boat with the clutch and mounting this onto the motor mounts in these spots. And then that'll give us the gap here, and then they're going to come in once we have them in. I think Wednesday they're going to come in and weld, just tack on something to get it fixed, and then they'll take it with them again. So this is a second phase of getting this repaired. Wednesday, and it's been a long time coming, but this is the center arm in our galley, and it's just been loose in here. And the reason it was loose is that we wanted to be able to move it when we were working on the cabin top ceiling. This would have been in our way and have been a pain. So we left it loose, but time for it to be glued down. So we're going to get this. Now we've got it marked here with all the places we have to put glue around here. And we've got the drawer mechanism mounted in here now for this drawer over here that goes in. So that all works, and we just need to glue it down, and then we can start fairing it in place. And part of our fairing of the entire salon, so we need this ready to go. Next time tomorrow, this will be never moved again. So the next thing we'll have to do with this one is put a tab all the way around the base to tab it down to the floor, which will be no fun, but can't have this getting loose, so it will be tabbed like everything. In the starboard head and going in part of the cupboard area that goes under the sink. The problem we're having with it is there's so many different angles in here. We don't want to pre-build this and try to put it in as a piece of furniture. So what we're doing instead is we're going piece by piece, and then we can measure the next angle and get that right. Zero. Call that finished. All right, well, let those baseboard toe kicks set up, and then we'll have the next toe kick over, which is a strangely angled one. When I mean strangely angled, I mean all kinds of strangely angled. So we'll get that one in there, and then after that we'll put the sides, and then finally where the door goes. So what we're up to here is mounting our electric clutch onto the boat so we can get it tack welded to get this bracket fixed. So Brian and I are trying to yet again lift this monster. You step off that board before I do, otherwise I'm just gonna. All right, you ready to walk down? Stay in the bowl as much as I can so I don't ski. Okay, so that's where this beast goes on. The Combi electric motor sits on top of all this in this rounded area here. So that big electric motor sits on top here. And then somewhere out about here is where the Sigma drive is going to end, and that's where the prop shaft, not drive shaft, will have to attach and then angle down at a 5-degree angle until we reach over there. That is the plan, but not for today. For today, what we're trying to figure out is how far we need to extend this. Now, this will be in position, as will this one over here. Now we're going to bolt those two metal pieces on. Brian and I are working on adding some panels into the bow that are going to support the carbon fiber that is for mounting our bobstays that go up from the hull to the bowsprit. The cables that run up there, and we need a mount for those cables. So we're gluing up some pieces, and I have to use an offcut here because this piece isn't large enough, but it's okay. This will all be tabbed and glassed over and laminated over and carbon fibered over, so really this panel is just a former for all of that, so it doesn't really matter if it's pieced together. Okay, we'll let that set up. Meanwhile, we'll head back here. Time to put in that panel here, and Brian's putting in a bead of epoxy all the way around the boards here. And now we're going to insert in our piece of green foam and get it nicely seated in here. Now we just need to put a bead of epoxy all the way around the edges and get this completely sealed so that no water can leak down inside of there. The compartment underneath of there is a buoyancy compartment, so it needs to be air filled, and obviously we'll never get in there again, so I'll make sure no water gets in there. All right, so we're all glued in here all the way around. This panel that we just glued in is what holds the carbon fiber that works for that bobstay. And got to put a mount for that, a cable. It has to have a good place to hold on because it's going to have a lot of pressure on it when a sail is pulling up on that bowsprit. Many layers of carbon fiber and other glassings in here. We're doing the big job of the day today, which is putting in our first 2 chain plates on the port side of the boat. So what Brian's doing right now is he's cutting slots on either side of bulkhead number 6 for the chain plates to come down through. So now that we've got our first cut, which are parallel to the bulkhead on both sides, we're going to go up top and widen this slot. Well, right now it's just a cut into a slot slightly wider than a 1/4 inch, or like say 10 millimeters, or probably more like 12 or 13 millimeters, because it's got to fit a 10 millimeter carbon fiber series of pieces of carbon fiber that end up being about 10 millimeters. So cut that slot when we go upstairs. Now I'm up on the top deck, and I'm going to be cutting downwards now to make a slot on either side. So here's where we cut from below at the bulkhead, and then we're going to cut at this black line and create a little gap slot on each side. Same thing out here. Those are for our strips of carbon fiber to be dropped down. Okay, so now we have our cuts going down either side of the bulkhead down there. Now we just got to do it again out here. Nah. So now what we're doing is we're checking to get our angles correct, because we're going to have a piece that is sitting in here like so. This is where our cap shroud is going to attach over here. So we're checking angles on this. This needs to be at an 11.7 degree angle. And we cut it to that, but I need to verify reality because measurements and reality are never the same. This is the exact shape of the piece that we have to put here, because it sits here, and this is the angle at which the cap shroud goes up to the top of the mast. Now we're going to also need to cut one here that has a different angle on it that is 14.1 degrees. Because all I have to do on this one is stick the level on top of it. With our templates giving us the proper angle, now it was time to cut out the real foam pieces that will be glued in there. Perfect. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go up on the starboard side and see if these two, they should be identical, but we'll make sure. We'll test these on the starboard side now, and if they're right, we'll cut 2 more of these and we'll have both sides all done. So this is how this works. This is a stainless steel rod. Obviously this will be cut off here that goes through these two. And then there has to be a notch here so that we can attach the cap shroud down onto here. And then carbon fiber is going to go over the tops of both of these tubes and down to become the chain plate. So we got to notch this out. All right, so that will do that. I'll have to core this and core these and fill those with resin. We'll be gluing this one to the deck, and then we'll do our carbon fiber over the top. So this one's going to also need the same thing. So it's going to need its notched out piece right here as well. All right, so those are ready for coring and thickened epoxy.
You want that?
Now these really have nothing to do with strength. These are just holders. All this does is support these tubes and hold them up where they need to be. But it's the carbon fiber that goes up and down, and then all the way down the bulkhead that is all the strength. Again, these are just all holders to put these in the right position to wrap. We just put these on for the chain plates. We've got our slots down the sides down there for the carbon fiber to go through, and these are all glued on. The tubes are glued in and on as well for the pin. We'll have to sand all that up and clean it up once it sets up, but all set. And not to be outdone, that was the starboard side. And here's the port side. Also, all the chain plate holders, not the chain plates themselves, are in. So that means come Monday, we can do the chain plates. And we'll have those finally in. Those are a big deal. Now I've got to do some other things on these. The one that's out on the outer side aren't much of a problem because it's out of the walkway, but you'll notice this one's right in the walkway. It's very much of a tripping hazard. So we're going to be putting an angled board over here so that if you're walking, you're not going to stub your toe into this solid piece right here. I can't do that on this side because the walkway comes out, so I can't put an angle piece. What I can do is put a pad here so that you don't whack your toe into it on there. So we'll fix that up so that it's not so dangerous to walking, and best we can. That one out there, again, not a problem. It's out of the walkway. It's on the other side of the stanchion, so it's all good.
So this week we reached our goal of getting the 4 chain plate mounts ready for carbon fiber.
We've really been working hard on getting carbon fiber done. We got the forestay mount done week before, and this week we got the chain plate mounts in. And next week, of course, we're going to try and get the actual carbon fiber and chain plate portions down onto the bulkhead number 6 there. But during the video, we also mentioned our anchor, and we didn't tell you which anchor we got. So let's show you. This is our anchor. It's a XL number 7, and that's about 1.5 times larger than the anchor that was recommended initially for the boat. We wanted to oversize the anchor because it's just a good idea, especially since we're taking this boat all the way around the world. We're going to be in a lot of harsh conditions at times. We just want this anchor to hold.
So why did we choose the Sarka XL? Well, there was some independent testing done, which you can see on YouTube, and this came out to be the top anchor.
Right. He tested virtually every anchor there was out there, and this ended up being the best holding anchor he found. And if you want to watch that video, I'm going to link it for you right here, so you can check out why we chose this particular anchor. Now, having said that, I want to note that no anchor is perfect because they all performed differently in different types of seabeds. And so although this anchor was his top choice in the seabeds he was testing in, it's possible that it's not quite as good in some other seabed. And another anchor might be better in that particular case. But we still went with the XL for several reasons. One is it's in his testing, it wasn't just about holding, it was also about things like how strongly it's made and many different factors that made his top choice. Some of those other factors are going to hold true no matter where we at. And the way we're going to handle the issue of a seabed that, for example, this XL may not hold as well in as some other anchors, we're going to have 2 anchors. Now, we need 2 anchors anyway because we're going to need a stern anchor, but we're going to size the stern anchor to be big enough to be the primary forward anchor as well. And if for some reason this is just not working in a particular area of the world, we might swap out our second anchor, which is going to be a Mantis 2. And I think it's M2. Anyway, I'll show more about that once we get it in. The Mantis is also a very highly rated anchor, and it also has another feature to it that was attractive to us for a stern anchor, which is it comes apart. It unbolts, and so it comes into 2 pieces. And for storage, since we're not going to need that anchor a lot of the time, it can store away easily. But again, if we need a stern anchor, or if for some reason we need to use it as the primary, we'll put it together and bring it out. But we like the XL, and we'll see how the anchor does once we get sailing. So thank you all for stopping by and watching our video this week. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you all for watching, and keep those comments and questions coming. And thank you to our patrons listed here. We couldn't do this project without you. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and click on the bell icon to be notified of our next video.
And in that next video, we're going to be doing some carbon fiber work because we're going to put in the chain plates. So we'll see you next week for that.
Bye.